Inconceivable! You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. The Princess Bride is a 1987 film directed by Rob Reiner and adapted from the 1973 novel by William Goldman with the same name. This movie is filled with action, adventure, romance, drama, fantasy, you name it, comedy. All sorts of genres are in this movie. It's a family movie. This movie stars Carrie Ells, Fred Savage, Andre the Giant, among so many other cast members. They do justice to this tale. So I honestly want to tell you this is my first review ever. And with that out of the way, I want to tell you that I have a different system. I don't like to give spoilers because I don't like spoilers myself. So what I want to do is just give you a brief summation of the story and then tell you my thoughts on what this movie really entails and then tell you if you should buy it or not buy it. So with that out of the way, let's begin. So the story starts off with a grandfather and his grandson. And the grandson is sick, and so the grandfather comes to him with The Princess Bride, the book, and wants to read to him this story. And when he starts off, the grandson's like, this story's not going to have a lot of kissing in it, is it? And then the grandfather initially is like, no, not really. But there's going to be some kissing in it. And so that actually just shows the relationship between the grandson, the youth, who doesn't really know what romance is, and then the grandfather, who really is just wants to comfort his grandson when in his time of sickness, but also at the same time, you can tell in his voice, he's got kind of a cynicism behind fairy tales because it's not real life. So without getting that into that analysis, he starts off by reading the story about this princess. She's not a princess yet, but this farm owner's daughter or whatever, Buttercup, and her farm hand, Wesley. As she's constantly ordering him around to do things, she eventually realizes that she's in love with this guy. And every response that he always gives is, as you wish, among many of the other quotes. This movie is filled with quotes. And oh my goodness, this movie, 30 years later, it's 2017, it came out in 1987. It lives up to this day, and it has so many remembrances, and so many people love this movie. But anyways, without getting too involved in that, the story. So yes, so this farmhand and Buttercup are in love. And so what happens is Wesley has to go away. He goes out on the sea, and she eventually hears news that he gets killed by the dread pirate Roberts. This devastates her. She doesn't know what to do anymore. Fast forward 5 years later, she's going to marry Prince Humperdinck. Humperdinck. And what happens is, she's not happy about this, but he wants to legitimize his own throne. And yeah, and so he marries this girl to try to get this out of the way. So the story starts off with her getting kidnapped, actually, near the beginning, by three dudes. A Sicilian, a giant, and a Spaniard. And these three dudes have each wonderful characteristics about themselves. So the Sicilian is a man of many words, and the giant is a man of many strengths, and then the Spaniard is a man of many ills, but he actually is a really good swordsman as well. And also his name is Inigo Montoya, and he's on a mission to kill this man with 6 fingers because he killed his father, and he's telling them to prepare to die. Anyways, that's going to get too much into the film. So they get the princess gets captured by these three dudes, the Spaniard, the giant, and the Sicilian. And so what happens is they're trying to incite a war. They're actually working for Prince Humperdinck because they need to capture her, go over to this other country, kill her there, thus inciting a war. So that's where this whole situation is, how to legitimize Prince Humperdinck. And so they actually get followed by Dread Pirate Roberts, or so they think. Hint, hint, I'm not going to give you anything away, but it's someone we know. I talked a little bit about earlier. But anyways, they're getting followed by that. Hilarious action-adventure ensues. The three get in trials with Dread Pirate Roberts. And then the adventure begins. There's fantasy, there's eels, there's giant moles, or voles, or whatever kind of rat kind of looking things. There's all sorts of cool things in this. There's romance. But honestly, the grandfather and the grandson, it goes in between those two characters and the story a lot, because it's really funny because, as I mentioned earlier, he asked if there was a lot of kissing in this movie. And yeah, there's some kissing in this movie, and initially the grandson's not a fan of this. He's like, this is a girl's book. Why are you reading this to me? And then eventually he comes to and he realizes that this is actually a good story, and it's a part of the story. And so that's something that this overarching theme is it's true love. It's true love. So without going too much into depth with that summary, hopefully that helps. I definitely recommend watching this movie. It is a must-watch, if not own. I am actually of the mindset that you must own this movie. It is a classic film. It's 30 years old now. Actually, personally, it's my favorite romantic film of all time. And yeah, it's a romantic film for me. And so that's kind of how I see it. It's all those genres I said, but yeah, it is a movie that you need to see, at least own it. So that's the end of my review. And I honestly want to say thank you so much for spending the time, this long 6-7 minutes of your time, to listen to me rant about a movie I love. So yes, own this movie. Do as you wish. I'll see you next time.